Welcome back to Optimum Live, episode 20 this time. And this one is things to consider before selling a business. Whether it's because you want to retire, start a new venture, relocate, doesn't matter the reasons, but we're going to look at what you need to think about before you sell it, how long you need to give it before you start doing it, and make sure you understand every step that is needed. This is a bumper episode, really useful. Even if you're not ready there, you need to bear this in mind. Episode 20, here we go. So, welcome back to Optimum Live. I think that intro kind of summed it up, Mike, is that this is a meaty episode, isn't it?
Yeah, there's loads to consider on this one. We get asked it regularly.
Yeah. And I think for me, and this is as a business owner that I summed it up there, is that I go through periods where I go, I don't need to think about that yet. That's years off. But having done the prep work for this episode with your notes, I really do need to at least keep elements in my mind so that I plan ahead.
Yeah, and I always say to people, even when they're buying a business, how do you expect to leave this business? Is it just one that you just pass it on to the kids? Do you sell it? Do you just close the door? Because a different thought process at the start kind of makes you run the business differently as you go along.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like, I've got it as my first point. The exit plan is that to be sort of aware. That isn't hard and locked in though, is it? It's just kind of, that's where I think I want, because I keep flitting between going, hey, what's better a pension than I step back, I get to take a salary as a chairman that has a passing interest in it. But then other times go, no, why do I want that? I can sell it and move on. But I need to sort of be aware of those exit plan options, don't I?
Yeah, and it's the taking putting the reality into the textbook scenarios that you might leave a business, you might think you could do the chairman's role and just be there, but if you've been too big a part of the business, then you're always going to be involved in the day to day.
Yeah.
So it kind of really depends as well on your personality and on how you can run it as well.
I know that I've worked with or had conversations with coaches, and they turn around and say, don't be working on that, work on that backwards.
Yeah.
And that kind of comes into this exit plan in reality. If you're planning properly, we should be able to do that exit plan as well.
It's the same with all the ways we look at things, whether we're looking at how much money you want to earn from the business. Look at what the end result needs to be.
Yeah.
And then let's see if we can get there rather than just starting a line and drawing a graph.
You'll never get there.
But you don't actually know where you're going to.
Yeah.
And it's only at the end whether you go, oh, I made it or I didn't. So actually start at the end and work out what it is you want. And work backwards.
Hence, the first subheading that we'll come on to is start planning as soon as possible. Now, that's what we've said there. But what interested me with your information was we need a minimum of 2 years before sale point.
I would recommend that because that gives everything ready. You can actually sell it tomorrow. If you want to, you could try and sell it tomorrow. But to try and maximize the value, maximize the potential of selling, 2 years is good because 2 years gives someone a chance to see that you've shaped up all the things that we're going to talk about later. You've got 2 good years of books, hopefully, to show that it's worthwhile looking at and buying. But it is that sort of view of just shaping it up to be more, to get the maximum value out of it. Cause like I say, you could the same as your house, you could sell your house tomorrow for the price that someone's willing to pay for it, which tomorrow might mean it's half the price of what it is in a year's time if you did all the bits of work to it and everything else. So it's not about that you can't sell it in that time. It's just purely to get the best return that you hopefully can get.
And one of the key ones that stood out for me about this 2-year element that brings that to life more so is that for what is now called business asset disposal relief, used to be, what was that, entrepreneurs
relief,
you need to have held those shares for a minimum of 2 years. So if I was going to sell and went, okay, do you know what, to make this work well is that I want my partner to have some or somebody within the business to have some or whatever it might be, I can't do that today and then sell tomorrow because they've not held long enough. And it would, we could, but it would cost them an awful lot more.
A little bit more. So it depends. It will cost you another third in tax, 50% in tax. But again, it depends. That might not be the deal breaker.
Of course.
It depends on what the situation are. Sometimes things are taken out of your control and you have to get it out as quick as you can. So it still might be worthwhile. You might still have already done that plan where someone else has come into the business 6 months ago, but you still need to sell it. Things change. And so it's never a deal breaker. It's just knowing ahead what the costs are, what the implications are.
And I think it is, you're really making the point is that, look, we're talking about utopia here, aren't we, with this planning? And that's what this episode is largely, to plan towards it and for it. However, there could be a situation that you're working with a customer, with a supplier, with a collaborative partner, and they suddenly go, right, guys, this is ridiculous. I want to acquire you. I need to absorb you into the business to widen what we've got, blah, blah, blah. I'm willing to pay you this. You're not going to, if you've said whatever they will, if there is what the buyer is willing to buy it for. And you kind of go, wow, that's too good an opportunity to turn down. It doesn't mean you go, I can't, we need to speak in 2 years' time.
No, that's it. You work it out and naturally everything's reflected in the price.
Which could, I was about to say, it could be that, okay, we're going to lose out on this. And there's a point that we make later in the notes where it's like, be aware of what you're actually going to get after all taxes, after this, after that. And that may need to come into the equation. So whilst we're talking 2 years is like the utopia, it's also important to say if you're within that, you need to take these things that we're going to touch on into consideration of what that price needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can be all too easy to get seduced by the noughts on the end.
Exactly. I helped a business sell a few years ago, big money. And it looked amazing on that first bit there. But then when I worked it out and said, but this is what you'll get at the end, this is how much you've been earning now. So actually that's not enough. And then it ended up, they were able to go back into negotiations and push it up another couple of £1 million. Because they understood it. So again, it's given the confidence in the numbers so that you have, when you're negotiating, the confidence that you're not just trying to grab another pound, is actually going, no, that's what I need it to be. This is why I know that. So I'm going to go in really firm and strong to get the value that you feel you deserve. And
I think it's the same principle. I know when we bought one of our houses, it was a new build house and we were doing a part exchange on the house that we were in previously. It's the only time we've done that. And they came in and went, your house is worth that. And I went, well, no, it needs to be this. They then tried to negotiate and I said, no. This isn't a negotiation. I am telling you, if it is below that, we physically cannot do this. I'm not trying to be clever here. If you are not prepared to do that, I cannot do this. And they went, let me see. And they worked out how they could do it and went, fine, let's make it happen.
And that's it. And it's again, you have the understanding it's where the power is. It's not necessarily someone else might look at it and go, that's not the right price. But it's the price that works for the two people at the table.
Yeah, because they could have walked away, couldn't they?
Yeah, they could have said no.
And we'd have been okay with that. Gutted, but we'd have been understanding. It was just, it could not work any other way.
I bought the same house the same way. I felt like I could have got it lower, but they couldn't go. So we were fixed at that, and that's where we agreed on a price. But still agreed it.
No,
I still chose to move with that price.
Yeah, it makes sense. Other things in terms of this lengthy process, and I think that's the key thing here. Selling a business can be quite a lengthy, drawn out process. And some of the other things that we update, so we've said the share structure within time, if you need that to be sorted, potentially moving property out of the business.
Yeah, so so this comes back to sort of what are you selling? So some businesses have a factory in it, an office block or something like that. Now, the more that, if someone comes to buy that and it's got £1 million office block in it, then they're going to have to find £1 million plus the value of the actual business trading within it, which then might push it out. But also your pension fund planning might be that actually you have that office block as retirement money.
Personally.
Yeah. So you might actually move things around to take out the trade or take out the property so that you sell the actual underlying asset that you want to sell to somebody else. And that sort of planning comes into it as well. So, and again, that takes time. You've got to choose the right place to do it for either for tax or for funding or for, you name it, whatever else is coming up. So again, it's understanding that process of what's in your business now and what is it you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
Because some people go, well, I'm not actually selling my van. I want to keep that van or something or the car that's in it. So actually I want to take it out. Or it could be I'm keeping the laptop. It's a Mac, it's a iSpec or whatever. Depending on the size of the business. Again, you might be selling a small business for £5,000. They go, actually, no, I want to keep the laptop. You might be selling £1 million business and it's warts and all. Yeah. So
it's the fixtures and fittings argument, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. So it all just comes down, again, is understanding what it is you want out of it or not want out of it.
Now and in the future. No, I agree. There was a phrase, and when I first read it, I thought it sounded questionable, but it's actually genuinely not, because when we are flat out busy running the business, doing the business, we can become apathetic because we know what's happening. We know what is going on within the figures and whatever else. But the phrase was enhance financial reports to show strongest quality of earnings. That's not manipulating them. That is making sure that the whole lot is in order so that you are really bringing to life what the story is.
If you say you got a set of accounts that shows £100,000 profit because you didn't work as hard or it wasn't as, you didn't take on, you're running at low capacity because you couldn't be bothered, you didn't need it. Right? Not because you couldn't bother, you didn't need it personally. The money that was generated was fine. Yeah. But it had the potential to do £200,000. It's hard to get the full, maximize the value on well, it could have done £200,000. If I'd actually done that, it could have done that much. And if you're trying to sell it on this hope or could have been, should have done, no one else is going to pay you full price for what could have happened.
No.
They're looking at it and going, oh, that's my Brucey bonus if I get that through, because I can do that. I can add that. I can enhance that. So quite often when we get a client who's looked at a business, you get the particulars come through either from the other accountant or from them. And this is the profit. And then you adjust the things that you would take out. So wife's wages, pensions, director wages, cars that aren't typically there. And you get to this adjusted figure. And then they go, oh, but we'll put an extra 50 grand in because you could have made 50 grand if you took on this project and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I get that, but I'm not going to advise my client to pay for that when it may or may not happen. There's no guarantee just because you said so. And so it's trying to understand that from both sides. And it's the argument I tend to put to clients and go, right, say they're selling, they want this price because they're selling. And maybe it's this price that someone's buying and it's somewhere in the middle, right? But I try and flip it. They go, what do you think it's worth? I said, okay. And they're selling a widget making business, right? Go, okay. You're in the market. Look at this lovely widget making business I've got here for sale. What would you pay for it? And they'll go, oh, I pay that. I said, okay, so why are you trying to sell it for more? How do you think you can? So I try and get the thought process of them buying their own business. Yeah. And so they can understand what is it they would buy, because then they know what the person in your side of the table is going to say when they go into the negotiations. If they go, oh, I want £100,000 for this, and if they were buying it, would go, oh, it's only worth a tenner. Then it kind of just opens up that mindset. Yeah. And Rich, the previous partner, he used to say something to me. He goes, at the point when you're both not quite satisfied, you're a little bit grumpy on the buyer and the seller, is probably the point where you found the right price.
Yeah.
The one who's buying has had to pay a little bit more than he wanted to. The one selling is sold it for a less than what he wanted to. And it's somewhere in the middle.
And I can actually picture Rich saying that as well. That is so true. And I mean, I guess my understanding from what you're saying there is that there might be certain lifestyle accounting. I don't know whether that's the right way to do it. That because we're running a business, we go in. I mean, you mentioned, my wife or car or this or that, the other. You kind of go, do you know what? That makes financial sense that it's being done that way as we're bumbling along.
It's in there for your business.
Yeah. So suddenly
it's not for someone else's business.
For now, let's get rid of that luxury to me as the owner. I'll go and get myself a car, or I'll go and do this.
It might not even be to actually take it out of the accounts, but it's to make it clear and identifiable that that's not part of an ongoing business.
Correct.
So if it's all muddled in and stuff, you're trying to you take it out a little bit, then it's hard to prove to someone
this will be gone. This will be gone.
So if you can just go, look, here's a 12-month lease cost that was in there for my car. I went elaborate and I got a very fancy car because I could. Right? You would take that out. You could see it. And you could so you would start with the accountant.
But they need to see that clearly, don't they? And then they go, yep, fair.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. You just go, well, and because it might be that you go, well, I've cancelled the lease. I've already negated the lease out to pay for it myself or something, whatever it is, you can just go, yep, tick, tick, tick. So when someone's doing the due diligence on buying it, they can go, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, I can, this profit figure here looks reasonable that we're actually going to have post acquisition.
Yeah. And to really put a period of time, whatever that is, that you go, right, for the next 1 year, 2 years, whatever it is, we're going hell for leather now. You said, for example, you just sat back and it was enough. I hear businesses, there's a phrase called MIF, machines in field, that they suddenly go, right, let's really increase that when they get more contracts on board. The length of time that those retainer contracts are. Someone was telling me, recently is that if you've got a whole load of 2-year retainer contracts, that's more attractive than 6-month retainer contracts.
Absolutely, because what does it give the person buying it? More security that actually that profit is going to be made.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time you're going to pay for something that's going to generate a return over 3 or 4 years. Probably anything more than that, you don't really want to be getting towards that unless it holds a big capital value.
Yeah.
But so you need to be sure that in 3 or 4 years' time, once you've taken into account the tax and everything, that you're going to get your money back.
Yeah.
And if having a 6 or no contracts or a day by day sort of selling business, you got to look at that and see whether, if you're buying it, whether that seems that you've got trust in the fact that you're going to make that level of money. So many people go into it and go, yeah, I'll be fine. It said it made 100 grand, so I must be able to do that or more. And actually, as anything with a typical takeover of business, there's ups and downs and stuff. And then all of a sudden they're going, oh, I can't afford the repayments.
Yeah. No, I get that. And I emphasize as well, by the way, if any questions come up in your mind as we're talking through this, I encourage you to note them down because otherwise you'll forget them by the end. Note them down. And if we haven't answered them within this episode, please get in touch with Mike, and be delighted to answer any questions because it's not a one size fits all by any stretch. And myself as a business owner, when I was getting ready for this episode, I was like, oh, okay, all right. I hadn't thought of that, or I had, but I've not got round to it. And it's like, okay, this makes sense. So please do jot them down. Any questions you might have. We've already started touching on this, but what are you selling is my next question. And it's like, right, is it every asset? Obvious one is that you need to define what's in that. That's a given in the contract and both sides will be keen to do that. But what was interesting in is that there was areas that I possibly hadn't thought of. Property portfolio we've already touched on. Other investments, trademarks, intellectual property. It's like suddenly there's vaporware within there as well.
Yeah, and that's it. Everyone can touch this, know this exists. But you got a brand. Is it a brand that's protected? Is it a brand that can be copied? Again, someone buying it, are they confident that what they're getting is what they're getting? And that's what if you're trying to sell, obviously this discussion you can be on either side. So if you're buying it, you'd be thinking of a lot of these things that we're trying to protect against if you're selling. But if you're creating as much trust and confidence for the buyer. Yeah. So if they're comfortable, they're going to be happy to hand over that money. If they're not confident, the price keeps coming down. Oh, yeah, I'm not quite happy with that.
Or it takes forever to get done or whatever.
Yeah. And naturally, as time goes on, the price is reflected in that. Everyone just gets a little bit, that first initial buzz, the honeymoon phase of trying to look at something just runs away a little bit. So it's the whole idea in this time, this build up is to go, and and this is where the time helps, because you can build up the things, you can build up the reports, you can build up the assets, the evidence to say all these trademarks, the IP and stuff like that is all there. A nice clean list. If you're selling, say, a bank of clients, like it's typically on an accountancy firm, let's make sure those lists are fully up to date, all the right details, everything like that. So someone looking at it can go, yes, I could take on this business and I can run it as well, if not better than the last person. Yeah. You don't want to be going, oh yeah, I'll take on that business and I'll give it a go. And no one's going to pay for that sort of winging it and sort of maybe not, maybe yes kind of approach. So the whole idea is you're building up your business to be giving confidence to the buyer.
Absolutely. There was a difference as well being pointed out between an asset sale and a share sale.
So a share sale, so you've got a limited company, and say you've got 100 shares, 100 pieces of the cake is owned. Naturally, you or your partner or business partner own those shares. If you sell the shares, it's like me going, here you go, there's the box. You get everything in the box that I had, it's all yours. And then you buy that and they take it on exactly as it is. Same bank account, same customer list, same name, same company number, VAT number, tax number, everything. Yeah. With that, if you're buying it, all the potential liabilities of debt, finance, and things that you might not even know about. So things that, say, everyone goes, oh, I'm up to date with my VAT. But if your VAT hasn't been filed correctly, you've got a liability that you don't know, hasn't crystallized, hasn't happened yet. But if HMRC come in and go, oh, they underpaid their VAT on that VAT return by 10 grand because they didn't submit it correctly, they may have paid what was due. And it's all those things. But that's what goes. It's like all the good stuff and all the potential bad stuff goes with it with a share sale. Everything that's in the box moves across. It's like if someone comes along, buys a house and just buys the house, everything in it, everything, all in it, everything, the kids and all.
Oh, God.
Anyone want it? There you go.
Price has just gone down.
Whereas if you sell like an asset sale, you go, right, I've got, what's the asset of the business? Typically it's a goodwill. It might be the machines. It might be something like that. And you go, assets can be ones you can touch, tangible, ones you can't touch, intangible. So the bits that the name and the thing, the reason the customers keep ringing up might just be a phone number. They ring up that phone number. That's what they ring. It's just natural. Like taxi firms are sold quite heavily on the phone number because everyone has it in there. They don't necessarily know which taxi it used to be. Now it's all apps and stuff, but it used to be heavily on the phone numbers, right? That's what you're selling. So then you would take that out of the business and sell that to you. The person selling it would keep the business, right? And keep the shares, and then they're dealt with tidying it up, closing it down. But if an asset sale, they're selling what's in the business.
Is that the same as asset stripping, or is that a more?
Well, an asset stripping is typically where someone will come and buy the whole thing, take out all the good stuff, and then
just cannibalise it, basically. Yeah. And so that's the extreme version of it.
There is
so there could be that I turn around and go, right, I've got something that they really want. They're not interested in my company, Visual PR Productions, but they want that. Yeah. We sell it as though they're buying all of that, but but they just get that contract details is just that bit. And I'm now about to close this down.
Yeah. And so some people won't buy the whole box because they don't want the potential liabilities that come with it. Yeah. Some will just go, I'll just have that asset. But again, the knock-on effect is, so for the person buying it, that's a lot less risky because we don't have to worry about what's in there.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have to set up a new company because you've got to move it into a new company, which means all the customers got to move to a new bank account. All the contracts got to move over. All the suppliers got to move over. Right. So there's a lot in the start. There's a lot more administrative burden and risk. So you move, say you've got a gym and you want to move it over to a new company. They're on DDs. You move them all over to a new direct debit system. Those customers, those memberships might go, I'm actually not going to renew. And so actually in moving it over, you lose 20% of your customers. So, and there's your risk. So it's your trade-off of what you think that might be a liability to what you might gain over here by having it not with that and what you might lose. So again, there's no perfect scenario. You just weigh up the probability of benefiting that. So again, if you're selling a process, understand what you think is most likely a customer might want to do and shape it, tidy it, make it as attractive as possible for that process and go, because it might be you go, look, ready for sale. I've done it like this. I've set it up ready so you can lift it up and put it into your business so that you don't have this, this and this. It's all nice and tidy. The client list is all perfect. We move it all over. We can use this. You've already thought of it rather than someone buying it, having to work it out and going, oh yeah, I've got to get my advisors in to do that. Wonder how we do that. Get the IT guys in. You might go, all this is ready.
Just add water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's understanding what you got and what you're selling and how you sell it, how you want to sell it. So that it, again, always comes back to what will make the buyer more confident.
Absolutely. And from the seller perspective, we're saying about what are you selling, but equally that becomes relevant to what your plans are. Are you retiring? In which case, I really don't want anything ever is going to close down from my perspective. Are you looking to start a new venture off the back of it, which includes any clauses that could be in, like you get quite a lot that says, fine, but you've got to now stay out the industry for 2 years, 5 years, whatever it might be. There was one in there you said reinvest. Would you actually sell that and then reinvest in the same?
Well, sometimes you might still be passionate about that business and you might go, actually, I'm going to exit, but I'm going to retain a 10 or 20% stake in it for you guys to run because I still want to be part of this journey. Yeah. It's still my baby, but I'm going to go back and just be a shareholder in this business. And then again, what the benefits of that? Someone's only got to buy 80% of it. So they've got to find 80% of the cash, but also someone buying it might go, oh, actually, no, that makes me more confidence because you've got all this experience and I'll be able to knock on your door. You might have an agreement to knock on the door and go, just need a little bit of help of working out this bit, working out that bit. And if you've got a good relationship with the person buying it, then that might work. At the same time, that might be not attractive because someone going, oh, I don't want dead wood lying around whilst we're trying to run the business and change it. No, I don't want you having any part of this business because I don't want you just walking in as if you still own it because you've still got a small stake and the staff don't think anything's changed and and I can't installate, like the buyer can't make new positive changes, modernize systems, do this because they're still walking around, right? Yeah. So again, what is it? And again, you can't say which will work for each business. Some work, some don't.
That's in the negotiations, the discussions, everything like that.
If you're retaining an estate, I think it would naturally be on the big, more corporate-y kind of sales.
Actually, yes. Now I think about it, there was one, I was a minority shareholder in an IT business and it was sold. And as well as the cash thing, there was some shares in the parent company, the ultimate parent company from memory it was. And I get that, and so that's a future thing that you hold there and da. Okay. No, I get that. Here's an interesting one then. Seeking a valuation for that business. We've kind of touched on it. It needs to be realistic. It is worth what a buyer will, pay, but there's a discussion about using a professional, to help you get that valuation. Yeah.
It's the same as, selling a house and you get an estate agent in to come and value it. So you might think what it's worth. They might think they know what it's worth, but the next estate agent might think it's a different one.
Yes.
And the next one. And then the buyer might come in and go, it's none of those. It's something else. Right. So I find this is a question that is regularly asked.
It's got to be hard to
come and value my business. I'm like, well, it depends what multiplier. So typically you take your profit. It's called an EBITDA. That's the fashionable word to use.
What?
EBITDA, right? Earnings before interest, tax, amortization, depreciation, right?
Yeah.
So essentially get your profit on the bottom.
Yeah.
Add back depreciation, which is us writing down your asset value and stuff. Add back any loan interest, finance interest and bits like that. And you get to this profit figure. Then you adjust it for what should be in there. So maybe a market rate salary. So if you're buying it, the director's normally in there at a 10 or 12k salary. You might go, well, actually a market rate salary is 40 grand. You're taking 40, but it's down here as dividends.
Yes.
Okay. So let's put in there and then you go, right, but, take out the lease, take out those whopping great big pension contributions you've done because you're retired. Take out this, take out that. And then you get to this figure at the bottom, right? I typically use a basis that average over the last 2 or 3 years, right? Time weighted. And then you times that by a multiplier. All right. And here comes the question. What multiplier?
Yes.
2, 5, 10, 20? There's a big accountancy group that was in the papers yesterday that were selling on a 15 times multiplier.
Wow.
All right. That's what they're trying to do. You've got another business but essentially multiplier sounds a technical word, but look at it as how many years you want to get paid back.
Yes.
So a 3 times multiplier is you'll pay 3 years worth of profit. So in 3 years time, you get your monies back. Okay. One thing that's caught out a couple of clients is you got this profit is before tax. So if you adjusted this and you make 100 grand, you're going to have 22 grand tax. So actually you only make 78. So if you've agreed to pay 100 grand, you're losing the tax money, right? So that's caught a couple of clients out before when they haven't picked that up. They've just gone for this figure, right? So that's essentially the multiplier. How quick do you want to get paid back? So you add that, and then you add that on to, that's kind of like your goodwill or the value of that business. And then you add it on to whatever the balance sheet value is, or, and so the balance sheet value would take into account all your assets, or the bank balance, tax bills you haven't paid, wages you might not have paid, and everything like that all gets jumbled up, and you add the two together, and somewhere around there is a figure. Don't know whether it's the right figure or not. It's a figure. So quite often if you go to a broker, they might start with a higher figure as an attractive figure.
Yeah.
Whether that's a sales technique or not. I think you've got to try and understand, is your business saleable? Is it, and what would you buy for it? And then that's giving you some boundaries to work towards. And then it all comes down to your sales technique. You might just go in and go, look, I don't care what you think. I need that figure. I'm not taking anything different. That's it. And because that figure might, after tax, do what they need to do, whether that gives them the investment for the new business, enough money to retire on, enough money to pay for the kid's wedding, and then retire on.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, some might just go, that's what I need it to be. I don't need the big amount in there to get the most out of it. I just want this because this gives me what I need to do next. That's my next chapter.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's typically the valuation process. But like I say, I could sit and go 3 times, 6 times, 8.
Would you go the other? I mean, point one is you need the brass tacks, nuts and bolts. Before the multiplier, that's
get a realistic
the figure.
Profit. Yeah.
Then, as we were saying earlier, is you kind of need to think to the end goal. What do you need that to be to work for you in a utopian world?
That's it.
And then you go, okay, to achieve that, what's the multiplier there? And you kind of go, yeah, that's fair enough on that.
That seems reasonable.
Or it's a little bit fanciful, but if I spend the next 6 months doing this, we can get that to where we need that can achieve it, or let's go and try and test the market or whatever.
Because it might be you go, I need £1 million to retire on. Okay. But you're making 60 grand a year. Someone's not going to pay you £1 million for a 60 grand return. Just no one. And I think the stark reality is a lot of businesses will not sell because either the price they want to sell for is unrealistic, or actually the business isn't in a shape that someone can take it on. So if you're Mr. John Smith plumber, one-man band, your phone number, your personality, your customer base, your mates as the customers or whatever, somebody else buying that phone number isn't going to make the same amount of money as they made because you can't step away. But a plumber who's got 15 engineers and he just sits in the office and manages the whole site, is more likely to sell because somebody else can come over. He can come out of it. And now I think that's one of those ones that we got here. What things you need to do. And this leads, I'm going to take the segue straight into this one, but you've got to prove that you can't, you're not in the business. You're not needed in the business. Yeah. And now for a lot of businesses, that can't happen. And that's why going to this bit is because that's why most businesses won't sell, because they can't prove that then they can't be involved in it.
Yeah. Will it survive without me there kind of thing? Yeah.
So if you're a one-man band tradesman, you're 99 out of 100 times going to have to be required to be there to show the profits and everything else that you got there.
And there lies, and it's certainly something that I've identified as well as a business, is that, let's be honest, the majority of businesses start because a person or a number of people come together with an expertise in something, a knowledge of something, a passion for something, and they create a business around that, selling that product or service that they have mastered in whatever way. And that's cool. That's what you then build the business of. And what I've then learned is that one of the scale up tasks, and it's very relevant to this because it's what enables you to then be able to sell it, is that I need to gradually extract it from being vital that I'm there. I need this to exist even if I'm not around. And that's way in advance. I'm already thinking that now.
And that's it.
And I'm not even near the 2-year point.
And that's the question that's at the start of a business of what do you want out of it? Do you want it? Because some people might go, I don't want to force myself out of it and not running it. I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
And they go, and actually that's fine because I don't need to sell it. I'll just build up the profits in the business. When I get to the point, the staff get made redundant, close the business, put the money in my pocket, pay the tax man and walk away. And that might be the perfect solution for that person. And that's what the discussion is way back here that goes, what is it what do you want out of this business? Yeah. Because if it's depending which one it goes down, it might be that it has to be a sale because that's where the bigger ticket money is. Yeah. And it might be that actually, no, it's this one, or it might be a bit in between.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I wonder whether there's a I don't know how to say it. It's not a ticking time bomb because it's not, but a growing trend. What's the phrase we have now? A gig economy, where people are doing multiple things that they enjoy, and that's what they are earning their money from. Which then sort of goes, well, okay, why? Like you said, why do I want to then extract myself from that? I want to be doing these things that I enjoy.
And I think you got to get, at the end of the day, you got to get for a business to have a chance of selling. I use a phrase with clients of super profits. You take the money that you need to earn, and there's that much that's left over every year. So if you want 50 or 100 grand to earn, you take it out, and then you've still got that much on top of it. Yeah. Because if it's got that much on top of it, someone buying it can make some money on it. They can get some money. They can replace you, put a salary in, and make that, and that's the return.
Yes.
Right? If it's not making the extra bit, if it's just paying for your lifestyle, your mortgage, your bills, your kids' hobbies and everything else, your holidays, someone's not going to buy a job.
No.
Which is essentially what you got here. You got a job. It might be a job that you're in control of yourself, but it's just a job.
You're making a living from something and doing that you
great.
Enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. You might be employing 10, 15 staff, but unless you're making that super profit, you're unlikely to get a sale.
Yes. Yeah. And it really is. It's about understanding what you want, because not every business is going to be for sale. You're talking about that long-term plan. It's like going, no, I'm not. If I can, then of course I'll look at some figures, but that's not necessarily my long-term goal. I know that by then I'm putting into a pension, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And so that by the time I get there, it's like going, right, that no longer exists. Yep. Or, like I said, is that one that I flip between all of them is that, no, if I can still to be taking a salary from something that can continue, happy days, and I can be involved a little bit. It's not like I'm going to be working 5-day weeks and things like 7-day weeks as I'm doing at the moment.
And I've helped sell a business for a couple before. And the numbers suggested, what's the point of selling? Because the amount of money they can make each year in 2 years would have paid back what they sold for, right? But actually that one came down to the people. They didn't want to be running a business anymore. They didn't want that phone to ring with a problem 3 or 4 times a day, or 2 or 3 times a day, or they pop on holiday for a week. And when you're the boss man of the business, or boss lady, like the owners, that phone is going to ring at some point with a problem.
Yeah.
And they just didn't, they mentally couldn't deal with that anymore. They've been doing it for 50 years, 40 years, and they're like, actually, I'm out, I'm done. And so they just wanted that clean break. And again, the numbers suggested another route, but actually, what's the reality? What is the actual purpose that someone needs?
I think we've touched on it in previous episodes, not even related to this, is that life curveballs can suddenly change, whether it's an illness, the loss of someone, whether it's a mental health thing, whatever, that suddenly makes you go, do you know what, I'm out.
And I've had to deal with that in the last 12 months, a couple of times. The plan was this: grow, future sell in 10 years' time. oh, handbrake's on, we've got to do something now, whilst in the middle of that emotional sort of upheaval. So again, it is just, you can have a plan, but you might not ever be able to stick to it.
But it's still, without going into sort of like coaching here, it's so important to have that plan, isn't it? Because it can do this, but it's okay that we, change it. I mean, I think I've said to you is that for my business, I've got one strong possibility of franchising going, in the medium term future. But I've equally said to you, but I might get to that stage and go, do you know what? I don't want that hassle. I'm fine with where this is at because it makes that profit. It does what I need it to do.
Is it ticking the boxes you want?
I can still extract myself. I can still do this, blah, 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 whatever. But that doesn't mean I've still got that. Okay. That's where I want to get to. It makes sense. I know how I'm going to get to it. And equally, I'd like to emphasize at this point, we also don't need to have all the answers right now. Just because I've got a plan for that, I go, when I get to this stage, I need to understand that even more, how the heck I achieve that. Yeah. We don't need this war and peace plan. Some of it we can find out later.
It's a general trajectory is definitely what you need. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. We did touch on, brokers, and one of the key things is, if you try to sell it yourself, of course it's cheaper, because you're not paying for a broker, but are you being objective about it? And are you going to manage it properly? How vulnerable are you? So if you go for a broker, they're going to have a commission. You need to be aware of their policies. Is there an upfront payment or anything like that? But they could be more objective. They could shop around. I mean, presumably if I sell it myself, it will be either someone's approached me already or it will be my existing contact lists.
Quite often, if a business sells, it's to somebody they know. Yeah. Whether it's a supplier or a customer, another business owner that wants to add it on. Typically, it will be to some of the size firms that we're working with. It will be to somebody they already know. Now, typically, someone in your customer base or supplier base, if you've got one bigger customer, it might be that you sell to them because they can install it into their business. They can add it on. They can bolt it on. And if it's something that's emerged with a similar industry, they won't have the same rent. They won't have the same cost. So actually they can get a return that makes it worthwhile for them to add it. Yeah. Whereas someone buying it as a standalone business is going back to the phrase of buying a job. But there's the ability to make the extra profits by merging it in with another one. That's why you see a lot of accountancy firms merging. You see lots of other firms coming together because actually they can cut the overheads in half and make it a bit more profitable.
Okay. No, that makes complete sense. I was also thinking, is there as much an episode that exists here on buying a business? Yeah. Because I've got in my head that I anticipate I want to acquire businesses that will be complementary and broaden the scope so that it'll all be related stuff for me.
Yeah, there definitely is something. Some of the bits to think of is the counter argument of what we're trying to do with selling. Yeah. But there is naturally a good topic for that because the businesses that are growing are looking to add more turnover, more industries to services to their business. So naturally there's a lot of acquisitions going on out there.
But for me, it's not just, it would be great, looking at going, right, there's a business and like we're talking about the maths that goes, it's making that much profit already, blah, blah, blah. Therefore it's going to take this long to get the return and then make money thereafter. But it can also be, no, as well as that, my service, I've got a ready-made customer base to go and upsell my services that I already have, plus the complementary side of thing could remove some costs that I'm outsourcing or whatever else, that actually the bigger picture becomes a better deal. Now, let's bring it back to this episode is that's considerations for me as the seller going, I know what I'm going to be given to that company. It's not just that.
Yeah. Because that's the sales pitch. You eye someone up and go, yeah, actually we can do this. You would take these costs out. Therefore, this is the profit you'll make. You make it look good. You give it some evidence that someone's got some confidence in it. Yeah. And there's again, it's no different to trying to find a customer to sell, like accountancy services that your video content to, it's the same approach, but you're just selling a different product. You're selling your whole business rather than just a one-off show or a series of shows and stuff. So it's the same idea. You're looking for where your customer is.
No, absolutely. There was a phrase that you had as well. We're talking about a plan, and we have kind of sort of said that it's I don't want to use the word vague plan because that undersells it. But you make a key point about keeping updating that plan. That can include external forces such as market conditions. Interesting one that I hadn't thought of is base rate changes that could have an impact on the borrowing of that buyer to buy your business.
Yeah, and I think that again, that's a bit we haven't talked about is how you get paid. A lot of people want to be paid on the nose on the day of selling, like you would with a house. But actually, in reality, no one's going to hand over that level of money on the day. There's always going to be a period of what we call deferred payments. So say you agree to be paid X today and then the balance every month over 3 years. That person is either taking into account the borrowing, or if they're going for, you want it all on one day, someone's going to the bank to borrow that level of money. So if interest rates are high, the borrowing cost is high. So therefore their spend capacity goes down. So you might get less because they have to borrow it. So again, that's where then you go, well, actually, I'll take the money a bit longer so that they don't have to borrow as much. So therefore their borrowing cost comes down. Your risk is slightly higher because you're relying on them running the business to pay you. So again, you got to factor all that into it. Again, you start juggling what's right, what's not. But yeah, the interest rates is definitely something. If interest rates are 1s and 2s, 3%, then it's cheap to borrow. And you would, because it's hardly anything. Get up to your 10s to 15s and you go, oh, that's quite a lumpy amount of interest you've got to pay every month or every year to have that business. Well, as buying it, you have that profit figure, the EBITDA and the adjusted one for all the other stuff, but you're then going to put in the borrowing costs. That's going to bring that profit down. And you go, well, it's not quite appealing now because interest is now, I'm paying out 25 grand a year on interest instead of what could have been 5 or 6. It's a bigger number that's eating up. It might put another year on to the repayment period. Another year goes, I don't feel comfortable not having my money back for 5 years, let's say. So the buyer's confidence dwindles. So therefore the price dwindles. No,
absolutely. And we did touch on as well that as well as cash, there could be dividends in the buyer company or whatever else. So there's all sorts of things, but you do need to keep looking, keep changing, running your own forecast internally, because you could suddenly pick up a really good contract that actually is about to, spawn off into different directions. And you go, that suddenly made us even better.
And it's all building up the confidence for that buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. So we touched on this already, is that we said about making sure that the business can survive without you. And I think that's such a key one, and one that I've already identified myself. And the best advice that you were giving is to build a senior management team of a good quality and just gradually start stepping away from the day to day, to like in advance of even making it available.
So for one of my clients, I said to him, have more holidays. So instead of having 2 holidays a year, he has 4.
Wow.
Because there's more time where he's not around. So the people that are left running it, the management team, as we call it, if we're doing that, whoever's left, they have to make the decisions themselves more often. So they get more confident in making those decisions because you're not on the end of the phone. Because you go, sorry, I've gone to the Maldives this week.
Which is a massive step, isn't it? Even speaking as the business owner, and it's not about being the loose phrase is a control freak. It's like, no, when you are doing it, you know what you're doing, you know the level that it's going to be done, and you're sort of going, well, if I get them to do that, they also need to be aware of this, this, and this. Oh, do you know what? I'll just do it myself. And it's not meant as a control freak way. So to gradually step away is quite a big step, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's it. And some people will go, I just can't do it. Okay, that's fine. That's the
know your limit.
That's the limit, the boundary you're at.
Yeah.
And others will go, that's great. I'll walk away from it today. I'll let them run it. I don't want to be involved.
And I think there's a natural evolution on that, because I'm getting nearer to that going, no. I now get it, is that I need to get the key pieces, and it might actually be that it's not just one. There might need to be more than one piece and working in conjunction for it to work. And so start thinking about what that structure needs to look like, what those people need to bring to the table and look like, and you build it so that you're able to then demonstrate, look, haven't been in for weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
It's still going.
It's still fine.
It's still growing. It's still working. And that has to become a key tactic to making it a sellable item.
That's it. And again, that's when you've got multiple staff in the business that are doing it. It's not a one-man band, one person business. So it gives the availability to have those managers in the senior team, and the ones that who've got the confidence, the experience to make a decision on someone else's behalf. And I think that's what often happens. You get people in who won't make a decision because they're worried of A, getting it wrong, or B, upsetting the boss or the person there.
Yeah.
Whereas other people come in and go, well, I've got the confidence to make the decision and deal with the consequences if it happens to be wrong, because sometimes it is wrong and it happens and you just got to roll with it. But that's the part of the joy of building it.
And I think there's a lot to be said. I mean, I've seen firsthand is to empower the team is really powerful, really in general. Before you even get to that stage, it's really powerful, for them, for the business and everything else. And even if it transpires that selling isn't the ultimate outcome, doesn't become the outcome, it means that actually, even if you keep it going, that you're not having to be the one that's doing absolutely everything. And again, I'm speaking from experience. When you build a company from scratch, you do everything. You have no choice. And then gradually it's like, I don't want to be doing everything. So even if the sale doesn't become the outcome, you're still making it a better situation for you as the business owner, whilst pushing you towards that possibility at the same time. Yeah. So I think that that's a no-brainer tactic. If you can go that route, do it no matter what. Yeah. Gradually, over time, whatever, works. I mean, I know somebody that is actually going more to the goal of, becoming employee owned. And that's their exit. They're not interested in doing buying my company. There it is. It'll be gradually that it becomes employee owned. Well, they still need to be extracting them from it more and more.
Yeah, because they need to have the staff, the employees, that team need to have the confidence and the experience to be able to run it themselves when you're not there.
Absolutely. And I think that there's a mindset shift. We were talking about how most businesses are started because they're an expert on something or whatever it is, and they want to keep doing it. And it's like, look, just because you're not the one getting your hands dirty every single day, you working on it, the fact that you've not only an expert, but that you've done it, you've built this up, you are the best person to be able to lead without getting your hands dirty every day anymore. And so take pride in that. Just go through a mind shift on it. And it still means that if you suddenly need to, guess what? You can suddenly drop in there if you need to. Be part of the team and then back up again. And I think there's an interesting...
Yeah, there's a lot of psychology on that, of the person themselves, to whether it works or not. Some people fight for it, but actually characteristically struggle to do it.
Yeah, and I get that, but I think age alone makes you kind of go, yeah, do you know what? I'm tired now. I'm tired. I need to do this. And still take great pride is it was that knowledge and that belief and that risk taking at the beginning that has created this and then afforded you to be in that position. Yep. We do as business owners take huge risks, not just at the beginning, but at different stages through it. So it's like, you've earned that right. Enjoy it. Then if you get to sell it, happy days, even more rewards and return. Before we get emotional on this one, I'm going to bring it down with a massive clang. There is I was going to say a word, it's two words, a phrase, due diligence. You put a big header, prepare for due diligence. That's the less glamorous side of this whole process, isn't it?
Yeah. Ian uses quite a funny phrase, is that you go like, there's a nice little box. Yeah. You're going to buy 100 grand for that box. I'm not going to show you what's in it. You're going to buy 100 grand. Well, the buyer's not going to have any confidence in that. But there seems to be, I'm trying to help a client buy a business at the minute, and it's a similar thing. They're going, yeah, I want you to pay to be able to look in the box. Before we do the due diligence to check what you're saying you're selling? That doesn't really work.
Wouldn't that ring alarm bells that they're trying to get you to do that as well?
And again, so then you're looking at the people. So sometimes it's like a cultural thing. Sometimes it's that they want the commitment, that actually you looking inside it and them giving all the confidential details is for someone who's committed. So it's like a kind of commitment fee.
So but then, no, you go first. No, you go first.
So
all right, after 10, got this, we'll both
go. Chicken and egg going, right, ready? I got the box. There's a wicked video I love watching, which is, Sean
Carrot in the box.
Sure, carrot in the box. Right? It comes up on my Instagram probably once every 2 or 3 weeks, and I'll sit and watch the whole thing because he is the best at it. But it's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Are you going to pay for the box? I've got a carrot in there. Are you going to buy it? Well, I don't know. That's a lot of money just to, ready? But like that's the scenario. So if you've already if we're looking at selling a business, if you've already gathered all that info, you've got a nice tidy QuickBooks Zero, and all the other details, and you've got the contracts, and you've got all the bits there, and someone comes along, right, I want to have a look at the business to see whether this piece of paper that you said will make this amount of money is real, and you go, there you go, I've got nothing to hide. Yeah. There's all the details, and someone looking at it is going to go, what have they got? They've got more confident. They're going to pay more, or they're going to be happy to pay over that price. Yeah. Whereas they go to it and go, so it says here 100 grand, but I can see on this bit, you make about 20 grand, but then you spend on there, you got this, maybe that's in there. What date does that contract relate to? You've recognized it here, but that looks like it's another 6 months worth of income there. You lose confidence and you go, do you know what? I'm going to back away. It feels like when you put in quite a bit of money on the line and commitment to it, you go, do you know what? I don't feel comfortable. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So if you can, in the time shaping up a business and shape it up and have all the backing info for it, people are going to be happier to look at it and buy it.
It's a given. And you said that you turn that around. So right, put yourself in their position. How would you feel? And I think that's really useful. And some of the examples of messy due diligence, i.e., incomplete records, unexplained issues, poorly defined procedures. Now, this interested me. It's not always financial, is it? No. I like this a lot. Poorly defined procedures. So it might not be poor procedures, but not very well defined.
No one can explain what they are.
and I think all businesses fall into this, is that you get so busy doing it that you kind of go, we all know what we're doing and we're all doing it. But no, they're not written down anywhere. And we keep trying to do this internally. Go, right, if we had someone join tomorrow, is there something they could look at to remind themselves or to understand it or whatever? And I had never thought about that being important for the sale of a business, but it has to be, doesn't it?
Because again, it goes back to the same bit I drum on of confidence in buying it. If someone can take it over and see how it works and have confidence that they can continue the business activities exactly as it was, that built up a great name, a great client base, a great reputation, then they're going to go, yes, I can do it. If they're like, looks like we're going to blag it for a couple of months on takeover, I'm probably going to lose some clients because I'm going to get it wrong because I don't know what it is we're trying. Like, I know what we're providing gas engineering services or something like that, plumbing service, but I don't quite get how the customers are, whether jobs are tracked. And a client that we bought a business for last year had that issue. They thought they could work out the processes because there wasn't anything written down. 6 months later, there's still chaos on how the order process worked. You just can't quite get to grips with it because it's rolling, and it wasn't there. And he bought on the basis that it should be okay, but it wasn't.
And that can include that you look at it and go, their procedures are bonkers. I can improve that. And I think I've heard that a lot, where they go, we can increase efficiency, we can reduce costs, and therefore but you ain't going to put that on the table, are you? If you're the buyer, but
that's your bonus for making the change. You're not going to pay the seller for something that you're going to improve on.
Absolutely.
So, and again,
you're bringing your skills to the table then.
And the expectation then so it's like when a seller goes, oh yeah, if you had done that, if you had taken that, business activity, you could have made another 50 grand. Yes. But you didn't. I'm going to take that risk. So I get the reward. You don't get to be paid for that.
Absolutely.
And it's getting that understanding of selling, of going, actually, would you have bought that? Would you have paid for that potential what if?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't.
No,
so
exactly. I
don't
get
expect
that.
It on selling.
Another interesting point on due diligence, final point I think on due diligence is, and this was interesting, it's a two-way process. It is, make sure you understand about your buyer. are they right for your business? Are they capable of getting the funds to buy your business? And in what way? Because you talked about the different ways it can happen. And do they have the expertise to run it? There was an interesting one on that one. Do they have the expertise to run the business? Is there not a case of, I'm going to be ruthless for a second, because I know one of the answers on this. Do I care?
Exactly.
You're selling and you're out. Now, I don't mean that when I say that, because I know there is always, not always, most of the time, my romantic side is that you want to look after the people you're leaving behind. So I guess you do want to understand that, but not to the nth degree. You probably wouldn't. Would you?
But then it comes down to so let's use, me and my wife getting the toy shop. So the person who, the couple that were retiring from that had a couple of people knock on the door to want to buy it. But they came to us because they wanted us to run it, because they felt that we were them when they were the same age, and they wanted us to run it because they trusted that we would run it. And his parting thing as he left one evening, granted after a few beers, was look after my baby. Right. Yeah. So actually,
don't we do that with houses as well?
There was a big emotional thing for him, that it wasn't just selling for money. That was part of it, but actually it was, he wanted to be able to to drive by and see the shop still great. Yeah. Still see that the kids were going into this toy shop, right? And it's the same with other businesses. You build it up, you've got staff in there. You want to know that actually those staff that have been loyal to you for, say, 20 years are going to be looked after afterwards. So there is that. They don't, and unfortunately, again, some people will give a good spiel, and I've unfortunately seen it with someone where they gave a good spiel and they didn't run it great and it went to shit. But you can only do so much as you can at the start. You can't have hindsight. As long as at the time you
and that's where you do then have to disconnect, isn't
that's it? But the reason for doing it, so if you've agreed on a deferred payment terms, so you go, I'm going to be paid over 3 years, right? You're trusting that the person's buying it is going to either run this business successfully for 3 years, or has sufficient funding capabilities that you can still call on them.
We'll get it
to pay that.
Do you know what? That's an interesting point, because that does make the expertise to run the business becomes important, even from a selfish perspective. Is that are they going to keep this going and have the money there to?
Unfortunately, when I was in training, I helped at the time my boss was helping a business in Bristol sell. Sold for several £1 million, got the first payment, which was money in the bank at the time. Second payment didn't realise, but came from factoring the debts. Third payment never arrived.
Yeah.
And that person that lost two stage payments of quite large sums of money, but he never looked back. He did all the duties, gave up all the information, sold a beautiful business, making a considerable amount of money, but never went and checked them out.
Which I've seen another one where, as well as money, it included shares. Suddenly something, I think a fraud investigation happened. That company went pop, and suddenly those shares were worthless.
Exactly. And that's the expression of, one in the hand's better than two in the bush, right?
Yeah.
So you might go, they'll willing to pay me 150 grand today, or I might get 200 grand, but it's spread over 2 years. Which one gives you the most confidence? Some people might go, I just want whatever I got today is what I've got. Yeah. I don't want to be sat there going, am I going to get a payment? And
I know.
Because someone was looking to sell recently. He's ended up retiring, but I was like, but you could set it up to get paid over 3. He's like, I don't know if he's going to be good for it.
How do you do due diligence?
So we obviously got the audit department here that can go in and do a formal due diligence, kind of like an audit, where they're going through, checking the processes, checking that the figures presented are accurate. And so as a part of kind of like an audit process, but just a different, slightly tailored, different approach, we can go in, if we're buying, that is, we're acting for the buyer, and we can go in and go, right, let's see it. Let's sit in the office. Let's go through some stuff. Let's get an idea that we can go, this, what they're saying that they made. Yeah. Looks good to us. Give or take a little bit. That looks absolutely fine. And then again, what's that doing? It's just giving confidence.
Of course. And it's from our representatives, not just theirs.
Yeah.
What about, if you're the seller and you suddenly we've just touched on it 2A, and I want to do due diligence on the buyer. And we're talking about things like, have they got access to the funds? Are they reputable? Are they right?
Yeah. So a lot of what happens now is, okay, so you want to come and buy my business, right? Let's go for a coffee. Let's have a chat. Let me sound you out. Let's see, before I even open up this box.
So there is a gut feel.
Yeah, and you go into them and go, right, so who are you then? What are you doing? Why do you want to buy my business? What's your background? Okay, what are you doing? What businesses you got? And then you would go and look at the businesses naturally on Companies House and see and try and get a feel, and you look at it. You're never, even if you've got guarantees and stuff like that, a lot of it is only a piece of paper, which is as sound as it is and is legally binding. However, you've got to have the money to pay someone to use this piece of paper to get your money, right? So if you got it's the same as a trademark. If you've got a trademark and it's wonderful and I got this lovely copyright trademark, but if some big solicitor lawyer comes over and goes, we're doing this, you need to have the capital to be able to fight it. You'll win it because you've got the trademark, but you've got to have the capital to fight it. And if you don't, then it's worthless, right?
Yeah.
So not saying not to get legalized, Christ no, but you've got to, it's only ever a gut feel when you're sounding someone out, but it's an interview process for them to come in and have a look inside this box and you go, you want to have a look at my business? Right. I want to see the whites of your eyes. I want to see what it is you do that makes me feel comfortable that you're going to be able to run this business.
Yeah.
Now that might be over 2 meetings to make sure like a double stage interview for an employee, right? It might be that to make sure. It might be actually you have a coffee one day and you go, right, can I come have a look around your business? And come back and I'll come and see how you run a business. And if you go into their business and it's a horror show, you're going to go,
I'm out.
You're all right. Or if you go in there and you see like a slick business that's being run and he's like, yeah, it's all right, I haven't been in for a week.
Which has got to be a big reason for why a lot of the acquisitions are from people you already know.
Yeah.
In one way or another.
Exactly.
I get that. Okay. Final point. And this is an obvious loop back to why it's an episode for yourselves, is how would we work with, say, you guys as our accountants in this?
Well, as part of like the bit that we love doing most with clients is working with you. So if we're working with you every quarter, every 3 months, and we're doing this planning stage meeting where we always talk about it, like we're planning, we're looking forward, we're looking at what you're aiming for. If we're in that process with you and we've been doing this for a couple of years, we would have worked out what you're doing with the business, why you're doing it, and then we'll be building towards it. And it might be that you go, right, in 10 years time, I want to be able to do this and this and this, retire. The kid's going to go to uni. I want to go traveling. So I want to be able to retire with this level of money.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's then a whole process that we're building up for that. So it will be in the meetings going, right, so we need to get the turnover up to 4 million quid this year. We're at 3. So what can we come up with together to drum up that extra work? Just because otherwise you're not going to make where you want to get to. And so we'll keep doing that on these quarterly meetings. And I met another client on Tuesday, wants to do a similar thing, wants to have these meetings so that it brings the focus back from running like in the business to going back and just, even if it's every 3 months, just going, right, today 2 hours, I'm going to work on my business. I'm going to do it and I'm going to check that it's pointing in the right direction.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. And that's what we're facilitating, is those meetings to help that growth.
Yeah. Because you interpret the reports and figures better, and you can see where we need to potentially go. Also, I know that it's customized management accounts, conduct a pre-due diligence audit, and I noticed there was a comment that even potentially find the right buyer. And can I add another one to this, is that, because I know you've done this, is that it's not always, we're obviously talking about a sale, but it could also be a merger.
Yes.
I know that you've been involved where you kind of go, look, you guys come together. This is going to be perfect. Yeah. You're able to get involved in that fishing exercise as well.
Yeah. And naturally, so I work with clients that I want to work with. So if I can see one person can work with another, or one can help them out, I'll talk to them both known names basis to say, would you want to have a conversation with somebody who does this, and this? Interview to go. If they go, no, then that's fine.
Done. Yeah.
But if they go, yeah, actually, and you create a situation, then I've helped a client out.
Who knew you were going to become a dating app? Eh?
That's it. I don't know quite how well it's working at the minute, but.
So in essence then, I mean, this has been a really meaty one. In essence, we've covered a lot of areas for us to be considering in terms of our planning, a lot sooner than we might think is the best advice, because you start getting things in place. You start making goals of what the business needs to look like, whether that's from a structure, whether it's from retainer durations, whether it's, whatever. There's all these things. Start thinking about it. And even if you then end up deciding not to be selling it, it's still going to create a potentially more attractive work environment for yourself. Get it that it doesn't just revolve around you, that if you're ill, then there's a problem, all those kind of things. And the best one, and obviously the reason we talked about this, is come and speak to you guys. And that can be really early, is what I picked out from those comments there, is that I have no idea, Mike. I think sometime in the future I want to be selling. You can then always have that in the back of your mind in terms of our accounts and our plans and all those kind of things.
Yeah, exactly. There's sometimes that process is indirect. I would have picked up little bits from a conversation to understand what you may not be going, rather than going, right, in 5 years' time, what do you want to do? I don't know. Right, okay. But we'll build to it. We'll build to it in another way, because that question itself is quite scary. Some people don't want to own up to what it is they're actually inevitably want to do or not. Some people are afraid of actually making money, and selling out is a dirty word. It's not, because you could be building up more protection for your staff. That you go, well, actually, I can only take it to this far. I'm going to sell it. And that's actually part of a view in protecting the staff as having a bit more stability. And so it's just going through those conversations and start just sort of planting seeds and understanding what works for you, not what works in general. It's just what's working for you.
Yeah.
And I hope that in the approach that we do, that we're tailoring that all the time to what it is. Yeah. I won't go in with a rule, like a tick sheet of just answer this, answer that. It's not, It's more this two-way kind of conversation. Let's work together on what it is we're aiming for.
It makes sense. I think it's been brilliant, Mike. I appreciate it. You know that I love these because I learn as we're having these discussions.
Yeah, I send my bill in there.
You do? Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. If anybody has any questions off the back of this, please let us know. I know that this has been a long one. There's every chance that we will split these out as well into sort of mid-form, so make sure you catch all of the parts to this. But drop a line, get in touch, start thinking about it. Even if you're not sure yet, it's well worth the conversation. Thank you very much for doing this, Mike.
Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate it. optps.co.uk, and you'll find all the contact details, plenty of information. Next episode, I believe, is going to be episode 21. How much can you actually earn tax-free or tax efficiently? It's a tongue-in-cheek episode, isn't it?
Within the rule books.
Within the rule books, yeah, totally legally. Tongue-in-cheek look at various legal options, absolutely. And it's quite a fun way to do it, because we are working hard, giving a lot away, but it's about there are ways to do this that we might forget.
See if we can get to 50 grand you can earn tax free. Let's see if we can give it a go.
Let's do it. So don't miss that one. Episode 21 will be the next one, and that's what we're on about. But get in touch, and if there's any other topics that you'd like us to cover, please do drop us a line. We can get other experts involved. Maybe you're the expert that you'd like to come on as a guest, and it will be good to add that information. Please do drop Mike or myself a line, and we'll look to see what it is. But for now, from Optimum Live, thanks for your time. Cheers.
Cheers.